Folks, the Community Preservation Act gave away nearly $1 million to local organizations in 2023. Here to talk to us about their efforts in 2024 is Chair of the Community Preservation Committee, Matt Lundberg. How are you, Matt? Great to have you back.
I'm great, Kory. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Great to see you. Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt, right off the top, for those who aren't familiar with the CPA or the CPC, just give us the A to Z on what it's all about.
Sure. The CPA is the Community Preservation Act, and it's a law that was passed by the state of Massachusetts in 2001. The reason they passed it was that there are several categories of public expenditures that frequently go unserved because they're low in priorities, and those are historic preservation, community and affordable housing, active recreation facilities, and open space preservation. Those always come in budgets lower than sewer and water and police and fire. So the state passed the CPA to encourage towns to set aside money for those purposes. And the way it works is that any city or town in Massachusetts can put a vote on the ballot to have its citizens adopt the CPA. When they do, they agree to have their town or city put a surcharge on their real estate taxes. Gloucester passed it in 2008, and when they did, the citizens agreed to have a 1% surcharge put on their real estate taxes. There are some exceptions to that, and you can apply for an exemption if you have income restrictions and a couple of other reasons too. So Gloucester adopted it. Gloucester collects money from your real estate taxes, and then the state maintains a fund, a trust fund that is built up from the Registry of Deeds. Anytime you buy or sell real estate in the Commonwealth, money goes to the Registry of Deeds. A good portion of that money goes into the Community Preservation Fund. And at the end of the year, the state says how much money they have, how many towns and cities are participating, and they split up that trust fund. That match is usually between 20 and 40%. So if Gloucester collects $100,000, we'll get $20,000 to $40,000 from the state to match it. Since 2008, when we passed it, citizens of Gloucester have contributed $7.7 million to the our CPA fund, and that's been matched by almost $2.5 million from the state. And that's great because that helps us fund projects that fall into those categories I mentioned earlier. When you pass the CPA, our city is required to form a committee, the Community Preservation Committee, of which I'm the current chair. And our job is to make sure that that money is spent appropriately and on well-managed projects that benefit the citizens of Gloucester. We do that on an annual basis. So each year we encourage people, and anyone can apply who, if they believe they have a qualifying project, excuse me. We encourage those applications in the spring. We review applications through the summer, and we recommend to the city council and the mayor which projects that we'd recommend be funded, given the amount of money that's in our fund at that time. We make those recommendations in the fall. The city council reviews them over the next few months. And then in January, typically, the city council will approve our recommendations or modify them before approval. So that's where we are right now. We're just winding up on the 2023 applications that were made. We've recommended 12 projects be funded this year for a total of $900,000. The city, that goes before the city council later this month for final approval, which brings us to 2024. We're about to start our new cycle, and that's the important piece that we want as many people in Gloucester to know about. We start that process by updating our plan. We have a community preservation plan, which is available through the city's website, that governs what we do in Gloucester with the CPA. Where we put our priorities. Are they on housing or are they on historic? What's unusual or unique about Gloucester's historic needs or its housing needs? Those kind of things are covered in our plan. On January 22nd, that's a Monday evening, we have a public information hearing. We've drafted the 2024 update to our plan, and we encourage all citizens of Gloucester to take a look at that plan and attend, if they're interested, to our January 22nd meeting, which will be virtual over Zoom, and give us their input on the plan, if they think we're heading in the right direction or we're not. And then on the heels of that, quickly, we will update the plan with that input and then start accepting applications for 2024 projects. So that's what's in front of us right now.
Yeah. So, and I believe, and so the funding opens February 1st from that point onward?
That's correct. So on February 1st, we will open the application process. Applications are online, and applications can get pretty dense. So on February 1st, what happens is we ask people first to submit a one-page eligibility application. It's a very brief form that says, here's what I'm planning to do. Before applicants go to a lot more work, we take a look at those and just make sure they qualify. Because the state's very specific about what does and doesn't qualify. Example, for historic preservation. I mean, what is historic? What qualifies as preservation work as opposed to maintenance work, things like that. So we don't want people to go to all the huge work that goes into a full application until we've said, yeah, you're eligible.
Gotcha. So Matt, can you give me some examples of some projects that have qualified in the past?
Sure. I'll give you a couple, or I'll give you one or two in each category. In historic preservation, we've recently funded a couple of projects at the Saunders House, which is the original Sawyer-Free Library on the corner of Dale Avenue and Middle Street. That's an old and historic building. It has some very old components to it, and the library, this is separate from their large renovation project they're running on the new modern part of the library. Saunders House needed to update the murals that were in the building. If you go in that building and go up the stairs, there's these incredible murals that were built and painted during the WPA projects back in the 30s. They needed a lot of restoration. We funded that work in order to do that. So that's an example. Another example in historic is last year we funded the Adventure, the schooner Adventure, to do a lot of restoration work on the keel, but also on some other components of the boat. And I mentioned that one just because historic preservation doesn't necessarily have to do with a building. It can be a resource too, and resource has a little bit of a broader definition, like a boat. So that's historic preservation. In active recreation, we've given money to the street hockey rink up in Sage Fork Park that Young Legends built. Great project, and they raised a lot of private money and got some good donations from other folks. And the city was generous enough to, through the CPC, to fund a good portion of it as well. Mm-hmm. And lastly, in housing, we do a variety of housing work. We have contributed money to the 71 Middle Street project, the new housing that's currently under construction on the site of the former YMCA. The CPC funded a good portion of that. We funded the Harborview at the old Camerons on Main Street. We made contributions to that project. But we also do non-construction for housing related projects, and one great one is Action Incorporated has a rental and mortgage assistance program for people who come into unexpected difficulty in the short term financially. You might lose a job, or you might have some unexpected medical expenses, and you just need help getting tided over. Action reaches out to those folks, helps them through, pays a portion of their rent directly for a short period of time, and works with those people to make sure that they have what they need in order to get back on their feet. We fund that project every year. It's a great project, and they do fantastic work. So those are a few examples of the kind of work we do.
Yeah, great. Encompass a lot of facets of the community, which is great to hear. Okay, Matt. So once again, just to reiterate, a public information hearing Monday, January 22nd, that folks can view through Zoom as well, or in person.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And the schedule for that and the meeting links will be on the CPC's page at the City of Gloucester's website. Yeah. So if you go to the City of Gloucester's website at gloucester-ma.gov, there's a government section in the header, and under government, you'll see Community Preservation Committee. Everything you need is on that page.
Yeah, and we'll share that link with everyone as well. So, right. Matt, anything else you want to relay to the public?
I guess the only thing is that if you're interested and you think you might have an idea or project that could qualify for CPA funding, don't hesitate to ask us. There's links to get to us on the committee, as well as to Zoe Venesinakos, who's our grants manager that works for the City of Gloucester. Always start by asking us, gee, does this make sense to you? And we're happy to take those questions.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate your time, Matt, and the work that you and the CPC does for the community. And we will catch up with you down the road. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, Kory. Great to see you again.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.